Sparta Bay Thrive is still one of the gateways to homelessness, to drug abuse, right? I mean, these are, in many ways, these are forgotten children.
And the teenagers especially.
Yes, yes, yes.
The last minute folks.
And being exposed to the concepts in quantum leap would be very rare for them. All right. Yes, thank you. All right, so you.
Why is everybody walking by the food? Please take some.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
Really?
Really?
Not right.
Hey, how you doing? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning.
There's also pastries in the kitchen.
I always get breakfast at home.
Is it Quantrain? Is that
I know.
right?
That
Some
could
of
be
the
lunch.
sweets.
Yes.
That could be lunch.
Yeah, take it for lunch.
That could be my second break.
Yeah, if you're gonna have to.
Thank you so much. That's awesome.
Are we gonna record this? Oh, it's recording.
Good morning.
Okay. All right.
So they hear about the breakfast, right?
What's that?
They hear about breakfast?
Yes.
Recording?
So everyone on the recording, please come and grab breakfast.
It's
So-
from Madeline. It's extra good.
Yes. So if you haven't met me yet, Rob Fritz, I'm the assistant team leader. Our faithful leader is at Mega Camp, and so hopefully our room fills up with more folks, but I appreciate everyone being here. So let's jump. Tell us something good. Anybody have anything good that's happened in the last week? Something positive, and it doesn't even have to be about real estate. You also have terrible. There you go. Your name again?
Will.
Will.
Yeah, my first listing is under contract.
First listing under contract. All right. Nice. Anybody else have anything good to say? Adriana, what one good thing that's happened to you in the last week?
I got into contract with my listing in 3 days.
There you go. In 3 days. Awesome.
Well, I can tell you that today is the Find Your Inner Nerd day.
Today's the day to find your inner
Unless your
nerd.
glasses today.
Yeah.
Yes.
National Sponge Cake Day.
National Sponge Cake Day.
Cheap Flight Day.
Cheap Flight Day. No, it's not, because I just booked.
That was weird, yeah. Day for remembrance of the slave trade and its abolition.
Yes.
International Blind Dog Day.
International Blind Dog Day.
That's a sign.
Today?
Wow, that's a downer.
Really?
All right, what do we got next?
Chuck, you wanna tell about the picture?
Yeah, so, sorry, I played softball that night on birthday. These are, this lady I know, she does these, it's not a business or anything like that, I just thought these are really cool, and their cakes are really good, her cakes are amazing. And so I thought, well, you know, a little closing gift, put a little business card in there, I mean, not a business card, but well, business card, but a gift card, put it in there, and she can put KW on here. I got some in there, go grab one. The red ones are red velvet, the white ones are vanilla. These are chocolate, and I said, well, how much would you charge for these? She don't even know yet how much she would charge. So I just brought them to give them out. If you're interested in them, then I can give you her name and number, but I'm not making anything, I'm not the liaison, I'll give you her number. So, but yeah, go try them, they're in there, they're really, really good.
That's
So,
awesome. And
yeah.
we're always looking for closing gifts or something to bring, right?
Yeah, closing gifts for open house, unless you're diabetic, obviously. But the first time I saw them, I had like 5 of them.
I mean, even if you're diabetic, you could eat them. Just make sure you got your insulin with you. All right, partners. Who's up today?
Thomas and Brown is first.
Thomas and Brown. Oh, they're
She's probably at Mega Camp.
they're at Mega Camp. They do have a financing and guard contract class, three credits. Let me give you a tip, okay? Don't leave the credits to the end. I did, and it's a nightmare, right, to get everything done. So these little events, if you could do one every other month, You'll never have to worry about it. So, Quan Training Room, 25th, 1 to 4.
Oh, it's our turn.
All right.
Good
morning, Keller Williams.
No, that's almost
That's
as
not
good.
Jeff, that's not Jeff, that's even more like Jeff. Okay, again.
Good morning, Keller Williams.
Buenos días, buenos días.
Buenos dias.
Buenos dias.
Good. Well, yeah, we're kind of sad that we are not in the mega party or whatever, but we are here with fine people like you, so.
Someone's got to work.
Somebody has to work, yeah, that's true. Okay, real quick, because I know that we have like about 5 minutes. Okay, we have the personal and professional best. This is a program that we created, and every month we have different speakers, and we talk about the way that we can improve personally and professionally. You know Team Tivo?
Yes.
Okay, great. So Thursday at 3 p.m. we're gonna have him in our personal and professional best. We're gonna share that information. I shared that information on Facebook yesterday, but we have it right here. So let me read this
Live?
live. Yes, but not here.
Okay.
I know, but it's gonna be at the office because we share this with every single office, Keller Williams office, so it's gonna be, you know.
Yeah.
But, okay, even the best in life will experience setbacks and seasons of adversity, but it's how you respond to those challenges that will define your legacy. So especially on these times that, everything's changing, that the rates are up, that the house are, different. So we're gonna have Team Tivo is a 2-time national champion, Heisman Trophy winner, first round NFL draft pick, best-selling author, speaker, and football analyst. So he has achieved tremendous levels of success, yet he has also experienced seasons of disappointment and adversity. So what is the team's response? A promise to himself and his teammates that he will work each day to become his best. So will you make a promise to become your best in 2022? I hope you say yes.
Yes.
And join us on Thursday. Okay, now the fun part, because we're gonna celebrate 19.
Ooh.
I actually think I have the wrong PowerPoint.
Meanwhile, team is gonna, we have a table, right?
Yes, so it's a chart that it's gonna look like a lot because there's a lot of numbers, and we can get a custom one with you and your picture and your information on there that you can show any of your clients and buyers. It compares basically rates and your payment. And a big thing right now, some people are like, oh, I'm gonna wait 2 years till the rates go down. Well, the reality is, so it's showing the price up at the top and the rate on the left side. So if you're at 6% right now, say, and it's a $350,000 home, well, your payment's gonna be roughly $2,098. So if you wait a year from now, price is gonna get somewhere closer to $4,000 with just every year it's gonna go up some, the way inflation and everything is going on, it's gonna go up. Let's say your interest rate goes down an entire percent, down to 5%. Well, that $2,098 you were paying, you're now gonna be paying close to $2,147. So your payment's still higher, even though it's a lower interest rate, because you waited for a whole year and the price went up. So it's people saying, oh, I'm just gonna wait a year, 2 years to buy because they're worried about interest rates. Well, you can show them it might not be actually worth it because the value of the home is gonna go up. You can be building equity from a $350,000 home up to $400,000 and have a lower payment. So if you're interested in getting one of these, we can have our information and then put your information on there as well to show any of your potential buyers, if you would like that.
Yeah, well, it's important because that tells us that every time that you have the chance to buy a home, do it. You're gonna hear a lot of your customers saying that the rate is too high or the prices are too high. I mean, if you've been in this business, for a while, you're gonna realize that at the end, you're gonna end up paying the same thing even if you go the pace up or down, the rate up and down. So you're missing that opportunity. But in the present day, as Tim says, for example, if you take a $300,000 home and you're gonna pay 5.5%, your payment is gonna be $1,700. But if you put 6%, it's gonna be $100 more, $99 more. It's money. Yes, it's money. It's just $100. But you're missing the opportunity to get the investment of your life, honestly. So those numbers is gonna help you educate your client, and they think that the monthly payment is gonna go up $200, $300. It's not gonna be like that. You know that. You know, sometimes they think that it's gonna go down $200, $300, and it's not like that. But at least they can realize that it's not much of difference, and they're still gonna be engaged in getting the home. So we can share this anytime. Okay, any questions?
Yeah, what do you guys think about the market softening, prices, home prices, construction around the Atlanta market?
Well, now it's balanced a little bit, okay, when it was coming up the last couple of weeks, but right now it's steady right there between the 5.5% and 6%. It depends, of course, in different factors, the credit score, the down payment, the type of program, but we don't see, I mean, it's difficult to say how it's gonna be in 6 months, 3 months, but I think that it's not gonna be higher than we expected before. But of course, we have to be, pay attention.
Are you seeing builders pulling out of projects around the city? That's what I'm hearing.
They're taking a lot of time to build their homes. I don't know what you guys seen out there in the market, but they're taking forever. So
I heard Lennar was cutting 25% of their construction. So
maybe, somebody was telling me that they were supposed to close at six months, and they don't have even half the house. So that could be an impact on that. But I have another builder that he built in 3 months. So it all depends where the builder is located, the position that they have to get their supply and everything ready.
They shut down those two big developments on Cherokee Lane over in Woodstock. They're both shut down. They can't get cement.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like every client is different. So every project will be different. And in these days, we have to be, open, be educated about what's going on, because it might be happening like this, but the other builder that we have in Gwinnett didn't have that situation. So it's a case by case situation. But we don't see the rates going up like, we were in 3%, 3.5%, and now 6%, in a couple of weeks. We don't expect to have the 6% to 8 or 9%.
Yeah, the original question about the rate, I've heard some agents say, well, somebody told me it's going up to 9, and others saying, well, they said it's supposed to drop back down to 3 in about a couple months. And I don't know where they're getting that, but they're not wanting to raise the rates a lot higher. They're liking that it's calming down and just bouncing and keeping it around what it's at.
Yeah, and if rates went to 8 or 9%, that's not what you need to be worried about, because the economy is in the tank, and it's not going to happen.
The feds are never going to let you
They're
know.
never going to.
Never gonna let you know what they're doing.
All right, so let me get on the camera. So who sits with the most amount of debt in the United States?
Government.
The government. Who controls the final rate?
Government.
Do you think the government wants to increase rates so much that their payment on their rate, just like on your home, wants to go way up? Heck no. So I think you guys and that's ex-banker in me, not the real.
No, I was listening to a podcast to Ray Dalio. I don't know if you know him, but the main point on that, it was like, I know your history. If you know a little bit of history, you're gonna see that what is happening right now happening fast. We were in the crash and all those kind of things, but what happened? We're here, still working, we're selling homes, we're doing loans and everything. So everything is an adjustment period that we have to follow, and we have to approach differently right now what we had to do 2 years ago. Right, with the rates at 2% or 3%, it was a gift. It was a gift, but we're getting back around 2019, the levels of 2019. But if you know your history, you know your past numbers, you're not gonna freak out. You're gonna see like, okay, that's normal.
Well, I got a really big reason for asking you that question. I got the largest land deal I've ever had in my largest deal period in my real estate career, but DRV. But I'm scared to death they're gonna walk away from it. It's already been approved by the Board of Commissioners. Now they're saying they gotta get 2 sewer easements. That should have already been done. But the way the market's going, I'm just scared that they may just try to pull all the way out. Now, we've been working on this for over a year.
What kind of deal is it? Land? Okay.
Yeah, we got, they're getting probably like 150 something houses on it, and there's no other agent involved either. So
to retire.
I've already prepared myself, they're gonna pull out, I'm just telling myself that.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you guys.
Get some breakfast,
It's DRB
please.
again, right there. International.
Keep saying it. Where is it?
Liberty Mutual. Hello, hello.
Hi. We haven't met, Rob. Thanks for the real talk this
Oh,
morning.
you're welcome.
These guys shared. Good morning.
Emu.
I'm Ashley Thomas with technically Comparion Insurance. Don't let that confuse you. It's a Liberty Mutual company. What I mean when I say that I represent Comparion Insurance is that we have options for your clients. I've been a vendor partner here for almost 10 years, and I'm a very proud representative of Quan. I feel like, this office is in family, and in fact, the person who helped me become part of the vendor partnership is actually Jeff Hart. So I've known him probably the longest. And the very first home I ever built, you will not believe this, the owner of it was Sherry Arisby. So my very first team meeting to sponsor, I walk in the door and her name and her face was so familiar and I couldn't figure it out. And I said, we bought your house. And she wasn't on the listing or anything like that, but we were getting her mail. So anyway, side note, I just think it's so fun how the world revolves and brings us together. Kelly, will you join me? Yes. I have Kelly Connerly here today. She is a member of my team, and you guys will see her around Quan. We both represent Comparion Insurance, as I mentioned earlier, and we bring a solid offering when it comes to your clients' home, auto, and life insurance needs. So whenever they go under contract, it is the best time to connect them to us so that we can help them seek out their homeowners insurance offerings, because it is part of the requirement to close. Even if they don't have a loan, they're going to want you to say, hey, don't forget to get homeowners insurance, right? Because it's not as top of mind if they don't have a loan processor or loan officer saying, gotta get your insurance, gotta get your insurance. So Kelly and I can help move that up the priority list. When your clients work with us, Kelly and I are going to do the legwork to quote through over 10 carriers, present the top options to them, and then they make the decision that is best suited for their family. They don't have to bundle. They can bundle because we know how that works, but it doesn't actually make sense for everyone's scenario. Just like the agents in the room, you probably feel like your friends and neighbors, they all know a realtor, right? Everyone knows an insurance agent as well. I feel very much like you, and I'm not trying to replace anybody, but I feel like in today's time, everybody likes options. So 9 times out of 10, even if it's not a clean case, maybe somebody has multiple claims or their roof is a little bit older than ideal, Kelly and I can find a solution. So please think of us with the good and the bad and the in-between. We will be here to help. Are there any questions that we can address while we have the floor? Sandra is a big time supporter. Thank you for being here. I called her. I said, the room's empty. Can you recruit some folks? And then Camilo, I love how he's like, eat breakfast, eat breakfast. So anyway, Kelly and I will be here throughout the meeting and afterwards if you want to have a side conversation, but we are honored to be here. Yes, you have a question?
Hi, Sandra brought me up here, so I'm here.
Yes.
Good breakfast.
So I went over photographer's house and they had shots done. So he was talking about how there's water coming into his basement.
Yeah.
And he was curious about insurance, whether he doesn't have flood insurance because it's not in a flood zone.
Right.
Does insurance cover, if your basement's flooding?
Great question. What's your name?
Sharika?
Sharika. Okay. So Sharika, I think it depends on the cause of the water. So if the water is coming into the home because of the accumulation, rain, seeps into the house, that is flood and it's not covered under homeowners insurance. It can be purchased separately. But let's say that there is some sort of issue, like some wood rot or some sort of issue with the door frame, and that's what's causing the water to come in because it's almost like leaking.
Yeah.
That can be covered under water damage, right? But I would say it's up to the investigation of claims to determine the cause. But if it's obvious that it's the accumulation of rain, unless they have flood insurance, it would not be covered. Does that help?
Yeah, that's a.
I think we use the word flood very loosely. My bathroom flooded, you know, my basement flooded. If your water heater, you know, is corroded and the bottom floor is covered in water, that's water damage and it's covered, right? But if it was a downpour and that water seeps in through the basement and they don't have flood insurance, then they're probably not covered.
Yeah, it's an above ground basement, like you could walk out.
Okay.
So I would think that it's not.
Yeah, we'll have them call their claims department or get a quote to determine the significance of
Yeah.
that, damage, because if it's not significant, you don't wanna encourage people to file a bunch of claims, because that can make it a lot harder when you're helping someone buy or sell a house. If there's been multiple claims at a house and somebody else is trying to buy it, it can actually impact their ability to get insurance, and they've never lived in the house. But the house itself is a risk, right? All right, guys. This was awesome. Thank you so much for being here, and I'm looking forward to hearing what Kathy has to share.
Thank you. I want to talk about commitment in all things. So this morning, everyone, or yesterday, everyone subscribed to Inman. Does anybody subscribe to Inman? It's a great resource. And I saw this, and it was just glaring to me. 7 warning signs your business is in jeopardy. And I was waiting for some like earth-shattering economic news or whatever, right? And this goes right to commitment. So the 7 signs, okay, are, flip this one over. Where did it go? Oh, it's on the back. Sorry. Your database is not growing, right? So we all have a database, but what are we doing to continue to add to that database, right? So that should be one of your goals every week, is adding more people to your database. Number 2, you only have one source of leads, okay? And what a lot of people say, oh, I just do Sphere-based business. So Sphere is awesome. Sphere is also unpredictable, right? You don't know when they're going to show up, right? So only having one lead source really puts you at a disadvantage versus a lot of other agents. You really want to diversify the portfolio you have of leads. So absolutely think about other lead sources, okay? That could be as simple as, hey, I got my database, but you know what? I'm going to start doing more open houses or anything. That's another lead source, okay? You stop making outbound calls. So basically you're a secret agent, right? Hoping that your phone is going to ring. And, you know, when you've been in the business a long time, some of us can get away with that because they have a huge database. They've been doing business for 20 years and they just wake up and the phone rings, right? But if you're not making outbound prospecting calls, and I'll raise my hand, I'm guilty as well. Michael Cheever and I went through our database because we went through a database switch from where we were at to doing our own, and purposefully started calling all our people in our database. There's no loyalty. 0. Even if it's your brother-in-law or whatever. The business opportunities that we missed, right, in the millions of opportunities. Millions, right? And it's not like we did a bad job for them. So don't stop outbound prospecting. Other one, this is, you're living beyond your means. I'll skip that for you. Here's the biggie. You believe your business is bulletproof, right? Man, my business is great. It's awesome. And I was that person in 2007, right? I was getting paid like a shortstop for the Yankees at the bank, right? Doing what these guys do, just doing mortgages, just killing it. And guess what? I got cut from the Yankees. I was like, wait a minute, other people, you know, other people lose their job, not me. It doesn't matter. I thought my business was bulletproof. So in this market, a lot of people are saying, oh man, rates were 3% and now they're close to 6. People still bought houses at 6, at 7, at 8. Think about the young couple that just gets married. She wants that house, right? Does it matter what interest rates are when they buy their first house? At all. Just matters on the value of the house they're gonna buy, okay? So your business is not bulletproof. Communication with your database is inconsistent. I think we're all guilty of that to a point, right? So continue to have a plan to make these calls daily, okay? And the last one, this is big, and I'm glad we have Supreme that gives us something every month. You stop throwing personal. Someone said this morning that Camilla said he was listening to a podcast, right? So I listen to podcasts. I've got YouTube channels that I follow about the market and everything like this, and I'm trying to always get more information. And I'm a real big sales nerd, so I'm always learning from other salespeople in other industries, because at the end of the day, we're all doing the same thing. So commitment is, are you committed to your business on a higher level? Instead of, I'm in the business, I have business cards. That's not commitment. Commitment is, what are you doing to work your business? You're the CEO. Okay? So.
Where did you get that?
Lead conversions and conversations, okay? So part of what we're talking about is outreach and everything. It's simply just having conversations and knowing how to ask questions and dig deeper on people's motivation and their timeline. So Mondays and Wednesdays at 8:30 in the morning, hosted by Offreen. Command happy hour. So now that I get the phone calls, right, when people are doing their deals and they don't know how to use Command, guilty, but I'm guilty for a good reason, because what I did in my business is I leveraged it. I don't go into Command because I have a great transaction coordinator that does it all for me. Well, guess what?
You gotta know it now.
Now you guys call me and I'm like, Kimberly.
Go see Kimberly.
Yeah, so I'm learning it now, okay? So I would highly encourage
see
you
Kev.
to get in there. 2 things. The Quan resource page, Kimberly has been awesome on there, and everything I asked was right there. Like she made it idiot proof, especially for a guy like me. There's pictures with red circles that say, go here, 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 and here. So if you don't want to learn it, just print it out like I did, and I have it next to my desk. So anytime someone has a question. So Kevin Jackson is awesome at Command, and I highly encourage you, if you get on at 5 to 6 on the 25th, you'll probably have one-on-one time with him, which is incredible. And it's not only to do your deals, it's about marketing and drip campaigns and everything else, how you can use it. The Command mobile app, we're having a training on that with group coaching, taught by the one and only Kevin Jackson on the 29th from 11 to 12. I am going to go to that. Expense management, remargining your business. Steve is an incredible trainer, okay? And today we have an incredible CPA that's going to talk about this as well. So, like I said earlier, you are the CEO of your business, right? Yeah. So the CEO is responsible for everything. I have a co-CEO called my wife. And I have to get approval for a lot of things on the balance sheet of Back Nine Realty. But this is awesome. So 31st, but we're gonna get some good stuff today. Lessons learned. So this is for me.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Lessons learned. Got this question yesterday. An agent that does a few deals, not a ton, right? And he calls me up and he says, this might be a dumb question, but I got my listing in contract yesterday. We're binding, and someone else called and said they'd like to make a cash offer. And it sounds like it's going to be a really good offer. Can my people just terminate and take that offer?
No.
So I advised him on two things. One, tell me more, right? Is that offer in writing? Do you have it? No, but they sound like, okay, so a couple times this week already is if it is not in writing, it doesn't matter what it is. You could call me the Queen of England. Until it's in writing from the throne that I'm the Queen of England, it's not real. Another situation, and this is typical. Agents co-oping are having a great co-op experience. Super. Getting contract. They knew when they went to the house that the air conditioning wasn't working, right? It's a vacant house. The other agent, the selling agent, said, don't worry, I'm gonna get someone out there and we're gonna get that fixed. They do the walkthrough. Oh, you're in the room. Do the walkthrough, and it was not in writing on the APAC. Luckily, they had a great, do you want to speak about it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I just had really great rapport with the other listing agent, and it all worked out, as it usually does when things like this come up, thankfully. So we did the walkthrough, and the air conditioning happened to be working perfectly fine. It was just the day before the cleaners were inside the house, so the heat was coming in because it was bad the day before. Like when we walked right up the stairs, it was like this heat wave as soon as you walked upstairs. And the air conditioning already had issues from before. So what Rob was saying is in the future, what I should have done is in writing, should have written that the air conditioning will be working upon.
So either through the inspection or you write, in the amendment to address concerns that seller have HVAC system serviced and in good and working order, right? What I told her was, listen, it sounds like you've got a great relationship with the other agent. Technically, they don't have to do anything if it wasn't working. Technically, they don't. I said, so just be super gracious. Sounds like she's nice, and you'll probably send the guy back out there, but we didn't have a leg to stand on. She also did something that I thought was awesome. I gave her an idea, and she went to Home Depot because there were very high ceilings. Well, if it wasn't on, where does heat go? Up, right? She got one of those temperature. And she shot it up with the thing. She tried it at home first, and the cold air was coming out. It's just going to take a while for that to settle down. So, what we learned is get everything in writing. Other offers sound great. They're not great until they're in writing. Called me back last night. It's an investor, and on the stipulations, there was just a million stipulations. I told him, I said, cash offers sound great. Most of them aren't great. Price was right, but that doesn't mean that's the price you're going to get to at the end. So.
Rob, you did mention to me also in that transaction, section 3, I think it was, that the house had to be in the same working order.
Working order, same condition.
Same condition.
As the time of showing.
As a leg to stand on.
Yes. So I asked her, I said, at the time you showed the property, was the air conditioning on and working? It wasn't at that time, right? you said it was still warm that day, and that was a concern. So technically, right, the other agent was awesome, and we always pray to have great co-ops, and that's why I love about this business. You'll start dealing with people, and people have reputations. You all have reputations in the marketplace. But technically, if you read the contract, they didn't have to do anything. Because at the time of the showing and offer, it was in the same condition.
Well, the second story was not, was working there. So in this situation, we did have a light still.
Good. But read. Okay. Ta-da! Chrissy.
I'll send a reminder, if anybody's interested in what's going on Mega Camp, you could be in this room today at 2. We'll have the afternoon session pulled up. This might be playing. And then tomorrow morning at 9, we'll be downstairs in the training room, and it might be playing there too.
Does anybody want food? I'll pass it out.
Oh yeah, La Madeline, this food's amazing.
La Madeline.
So anyway, today it's my pleasure to introduce Kathy Strobuck. She's a CPA. She owns a company called Advantage Accounting Services, and she has saved my bacon more times than I can admit. I have an accountant that has come in here to talk to us in the past. He left me high and dry. I got audited. It was a big mess with S Corp and LLCs and filing the wrong things with my taxes, and she had to come in and clean it all up. So if you don't have an accountant, you need one. So she works with a lot of small business companies. She does a lot of personal accounting. She does payroll. She can help you with QuickBooks. She can help you get your tax filings and corporations, whatever you need. But the bottom line is she saves you money. So she'll let you know what kind of deductions you can take, which ones you shouldn't take, what might get you audited, what will keep you from getting audited. She is just a goddess. And she also wrote a book called Solve the Puzzle, How Small Business Owners Can Grow Your Businesses and Avoid Tax Trouble. She specializes in financial planners, real estate agents, all of our tradespeople who have their own businesses. So anybody you know probably needs Kathy too. But she went to Auburn, but she's also a Bulldog as well, so y'all can give her a little love.
War Eagle.
Okay, there you go. So anyway, this is Kathy, and she's gonna kind of share a few tips with us, especially if you're new, talking about when you want to be an LLC and an S Corp, and how to keep those taxes on point.
Okay, thank you. As she said, I'm Kathy Strobuck. I am a CPA. I've been a CPA for a long time. Over 20 years. Been on my own for 17 years, and I specialize in real estate. I call myself a real estate. I need to make some cards up like that. So I did give you a handout. You've got a card from me also, and a little notepad, so please take those and enjoy. One of the things I'm going to talk about today is the benefits of incorporating your business. So you new agents, or agents who maybe are not so new but haven't done this yet, should consider, and I highly recommend, having an entity in place for yourself, an LLC. What that does for you primarily, if you look on your little sheet, the biggest thing about, one of the biggest things, is that it protects your personal assets. So LLC stands for Limited Liability Company. Limited. We like limited. What it means is that if someone is with you and you're showing them a house and they fall and break their neck, it happens, they cannot sue you for your personal assets, for your home, for your car, for your future earnings. They can only sue you for your investment in your LLC. Because part of contract law, we all know, is you do have to have consideration, and that is the case here. You have to, it can be $10 in your bank account, but you do have a consideration aspect of this. The other big part of having an LLC is to save taxes, which we all want to do. If you're a Schedule C person, which means you haven't gotten an entity place and you're working as a 1099 contractor, you're paying self-employment tax, which is Social Security and Medicare, on every bit of your net income. With an S Corp, which is what we would do, we make a tax election to be an S Corp, you're still an LLC. You can reduce that amount to the amount of a salary. And so you pay yourself as an LLC electing to be an S Corp, partly in salary on the W-2, like you may be used to from previous jobs. And the remainder is a K-1 distribution, which the big part is, which you need to take away from this, if you don't hear anything else I say, the K-1 distribution is not subject to FICA tax, with FICA Social Security and Medicare. So that's 15% of tax you're saving.
Can you repeat that?
By doing this.
What is it again?
If you are an LLC, elected to be an S corp, you pay yourself two ways. One, you have a salary, a W-2 salary. The other is what's called a K-1 distribution. So we pay you a small salary. Let's just throw some numbers around for ease of conversation. Let's say you make $50,000. If you have an LLC with an S corp election, you could pay yourself a salary, W-2 salary of, let's say, $20,000. The remaining $30,000 of that $50,000 of your net income is not subject to 15%.
Say for $4,500.
Good math. So that more than covers my fees for the year. And of course, there is a little bit, you got to give me a little bit of your money so I can do all the filings and we prepare the W-2s and we do the payroll tax deposits. And in addition to that, we work your estimate, or I work your estimate. I look at your income as a whole and say, okay, you made $50,000, we put 20,000 as W-2, we put 30,000 as K-1S or K-1 earnings. Here's what your tax is gonna be. And let's divide that up each month and here's what you need to pay. So a lot of people find that much easier than coming up with $15,000 at once in April for your taxes. My ideal situation for you is for you to owe $100 on your tax return. And that's because they don't want you loaning money to the government. And $100 is a night out. You can handle $100, I hope. So I did a case study, and there's a bunch of legalese on the front that you can read yourself. You don't need me to word it out to you, put you to sleep. One thing I mentioned before, but I'll say again, is that you create an LLC, or I create, it's the service I offer, an LLC for you, and the S corporation is a tax election. And you are still an LLC, which is one of the Secretary of States in the state of Georgia, but for tax purposes, you're an S corp. So when you fill out your W-9, it says, are you an LLC or are you an S corp? You're either. On page 2, on the back of the page, on the front page, there's a case study I created for you to review. This case study compares Joe Shareholder, who sells widgets, as a sole proprietor or as an LLC electing to be an S corporation. Now, Joe made $60,000. And if we look at the listings of the taxes he paid, when he was making $60,000 as a Schedule C, which is not having an entity in place, his total tax due is over $15,000. So that's kind of not great. So that's 30% of his taxes on his income. If you continue looking down onto the end of the page, his tax due as an S corporation was about $7,200. That's a savings of over $8,000 just because he created the entity, did the S corp election, worked with me to do payroll. It's paperwork, and it's stuff I do for you. And my fees are deductible, so win-win. So that is really the gist of it. How many of you have an LLC in place already? So some of you that don't have an LLC in place, definitely would love to speak with you and can help you get through that process. Go ahead.
Can you expand about the LLC and investment in real estate? Usually I always have the clients like, I want to buy this house, but then I want to convert it to an LLC. Should I create that? Of course, talk to your CPA, but would you comment about that?
Absolutely. So an LLC that's got investments in real estate, you don't want to be an S corp. You don't need to do all this stuff, this W-2 and salary. That is for an active business. I'm an LLC with an S corp. So someone holding property, flipping you might do it, but someone holding property just needs the LLC, and that's for the limited liability protection. That's the end of this. It can't go against your personal assets. They can't come after your active real estate. They can't come after your home, your car, your spouse's income.
And when you say do not go as an S corporation, it's because it's gonna be a better,
Yes.
based on your case studies that you showed.
Correct. The case study again is for an active business, any business. When you're holding property generally, if you're holding property, your income is either very low or even lost because of depreciation, non-cash activity. So it's the limited liability in the S corp. You don't want it to be an active business. You want it to have that passive investment entity to save your investment dollars.
Hey Kathy,
Hi.
a question that I always had, and I'm set up now as under S corp for the last couple of years, was at what gross commission income is, I guess, in your world, like, do you see realtors going forward with setting one up to make it, it's hard to say make it worth doing it,
Understood.
but like, what is that minimum commission income that you would suggest or say that to where you would gain the, avoid the taxes? Because I always heard it might have been 60,000, 75,000. Is it less than that?
Less. I'd say about 20.
Okay, so 20,000.
Yeah,
That's
because even at 20,000, you can pay yourself $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 and still get $16,000 of S corp earnings of the K1 distribution, and that still is over $2,000 in tax savings. So it also depends on where you are. If you're a new agent, you don't have an entity in place, then I say about 20. If you already have the entity in place and maybe you are a woman and you have your baby and you wanted to stay home for a few years and now you're back, I would say immediately. Doesn't matter, but it's the
Right.
setting up of the entity costs.
Right, I was
If
gonna
you
say.
have someone do it, you have me do it. And then, of course, we go forward with the W-2 payroll, which is quarterly. So I'd say about 20.
If you're not an LLC and we're already into August, does it make sense to still go ahead and do it now? And can you retro back anything? How do your taxes work if you don't do it by January 1?
So you can't retro, but yes, it does help pretty much any time. One, it either gets you set up for the next year. It's like December 15th, you're getting set up. But also you still, here we are in August, you still have the rest of the year, you have 5 months that you can say, I'm gonna take a part salary and I'm gonna take a part of this big distribution. And again, remember 15%. 15% of your commission is saved by setting this entity up and doing it this way, as well as the protections. Don't need to gloss over that, that's very important.
One lesson I learned the hard way is your taxes are due on March 15th, not April 15th. I set mine up in November, and I didn't really use it for November, December, and I didn't file on March 15th. I got hit with a big penalty.
Sure. Yes, an S corp tax return is a separate tax return, which if you're a Schedule C 1099 contractor, it just goes on your own personal return. So S corp is due March 15th. Excuse me. It is a flow-through entity, so there's no tax due at that time. It does go to your personal return, and then that income is shown personally as a part of all your other income from other sources.
To piggyback on kind of where Camilo is going with his question, if somebody owns an investment property and they put it into an LLC for the additional protection, I understand if they're sued, their personal assets would not be impacted, but the property that's in the LLC, that could be at jeopardy.
Absolutely. Okay. And that's the thing. Now, if you've done any real estate gurus, podcasts, or listened to any education, which one of the reasons I do this as real estate is I was an investor until 2010.
Yeah.
When everybody else fell apart. I did too. So I feel your pain. But yes, and some of the gurus say they want to set up an LLC for each property. Depends on the property. If you're doing little $100,000 houses, I put about 3 in one LLC.
Okay.
It's more filings, it's more paperwork, it's more. But to me, even about $2,000 to $3,000 is $100,000 is an acceptable risk, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But an LLC for each property, some people do that.
And do you need to transfer title to that
Yes.
LLC, right?
You do.
What happens if you don't do that?
It's in your name. It's like
It's
you
in your
didn't even, it doesn't matter. I mean, you could go to court, in my opinion, and say, this is how we were supposed to be and we didn't realize it. That is not a defense to the IRS. But you could try. Never hurts to try and say, I was not educated, so.
I have a question over here. Since you're online, so just for clarity, let's say you are an active real estate agent making $70,000 to $80,000 yearly, and you have 4 properties under your LLC. are you saying that it's best to just stay as a LLC and not as an S corp?
So
I'm
you
trying to
need
get
to
clarity on that.
separate.
Okay.
Absolutely, do not put your active real estate business and your investment properties together. You need separate LLCs. Because if someone sued you, you have property under your real estate business and 4 properties. Someone broke their neck on your property and comes after you, they can go after your earnings, all of your active real estate entity,
Cash.
stuff. Cash, okay. In addition to the 4 houses. Okay. So if you have that situation, please let me help you set up another one. So you can move your active real estate business into a separate LLC.
One thing I want to mention is, and I say this often, and you have to treat your real estate business as a business and use, how do the rich get rich, right? They're using the tax code, right? I love that. I'm not saying I'm for or against Donald Trump, okay?
He doesn't pay taxes.
But he doesn't pay a lot of taxes because of the tax codes that the richest people in America, city and Senate and Congress, have set up for their benefit. So once,
It's true.
it's right. And so I would encourage you to get with Kathy, because there's a lot of things, like for instance, I pay my children.
Smart. You were off.
Yes.
Awesome.
I pay my children. I don't pay them a lot, but I pay them, because then I don't have to, I get the deduction for it and everything. Your vehicle, right? There's a lot of things you can do. Once you become an LLC and a corporation, you can start getting credit in that corporation. So you get a business credit card and whatnot. The easiest thing to do is we all fill up with what? Gas. So I have a Shell credit card for my LLC, right? That I put everything in. So, but I did it with my accountant to figure out which was better, would be getting mileage or this, and it was not quite a wash, but the convenience of me doing it was better. So whether you're a real estate company or you're, Jose's painting company, there are so many benefits that you can get, and I encourage you to sit with her if you want to meet with me to talk about your business, because that's what we're in, right? Please sit down, and I've been doing this for, like I said, 30 years between the mortgage lender and the real estate side. And you also need to know when you're ready to buy a house, right? Because my son's graduating high school this year. So in the next 24 months, I'm going to be buying a new house. So I have to go to my accountant and say, crap, right?
Right.
I have to show more
Income.
income.
And that's our goal, is to reduce your legally, creatively, aggressively.
Right, Camilla? If I come to Camilla and say, on my taxes say I make $38,000 a year, you're gonna be like, I don't think I can help you.
But I have a great CPA, talk to Kathy.
There you go. But you plan
Ask
it.
all the questions. Yeah, because that happens a lot, that the people, the main thing doing taxes is getting more money back or paying less taxes.
Yes.
And they don't have that conversation with the CPAs, and we struggle sometimes like get a good CPA, because you need to ask all the questions about everything in your life.
And
why
you
it's
could do
bad.
the 2 years worth of taxes,
Yeah.
right, within a 18-month period, right, by doing extension and whatnot. So when it comes to January, you don't have to wait this whole time. So when you plan it out, right, it makes it easier. People are like, how did you do that? Well, I didn't like to do it, but this is what I had to do.
Well, and also you get with a lender like Camilla,
Or Milo, like my loan officer.
Okay. The loan officer. Who understands this. Now, I mean, people come to me, my clients come to me and they need an accountant's letter.
Yeah, after the fact.
Well, and even during, they need an accountant's letter that says, this company's been in business for X number of years, I prepared their taxes, blah, blah, blah. They are a real business. But you get a lender that understands and knows that, okay, here are the areas that are like a home office, That's not, it's a real expense, don't get me wrong, but it's not really impactful to your business. If you were gonna sell the business, that would be taken out because that doesn't transfer with the business. You're paying, you're paying your kids. That's not really an employment salary that you need to run your business. You get someone that knows, that understands where you can push and where we push.
Right, so like the year that I'm gonna buy the new house, right? Right before that, and he's gonna roll his eyes, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna buy a new vehicle.
What?
Yeah, why am I gonna do that? Because I could do what with the depreciation in that year?
100% depreciation.
So I could buy a $70,000 vehicle and it goes back, but what are you gonna do on my loan?
Go back.
You're gonna put that back in as income, but I didn't pay tax on it.
Here's an accounting term for you, EBITDA. Anybody heard that? Earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. You'll see it on any balance sheet if you've ever looked at this, like a
But
company.
an advice for real estate agents, because sometimes you think that talking to us or we're gonna talk to the CPAs or something like that, you get involved with a CPA as well. That's a good referral
It's a team.
source. It's a team, but also when you have the conversation, and that's a good advice for them. Do you have a CPA? Who's your CPA? Are you having all this? Because that's gonna be a future business, not just for this house, but are you planning to buy more houses in the future? Talk about the LLC, talk about this, talk about this. I think that's a key factor is education and get prepared in advance. Because we've seen that a lot, and we try to get the clients ready today for a year, but they don't know. But if they prepare, they should be buying a house right now.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just went through it, I did a refine and then I bought another one, and my taxes had to show what they had. And they worked together with the in-house lender and my CPA. Painful, but it's done.
It is painful, definitely. Someone else had a question?
Are you solo or do you have a team or?
It is me. You will deal with me. I do have staff, but I am the horse's mouth. I'm the one you talk to, so. But I do have staff that help me with preparation, bookkeeping, and other, like.
If you don't do your QuickBooks, she has people you can pay to get to your QuickBooks,
That's right.
and clean them up when you
That's
don't
right.
reconcile.
Absolutely.
What are your fees?
Depends on what I'm doing for you.
Great answer.
I'll
What
be
you
more
need to do is
specific.
set an
Set
appointment.
an appointment with me, we'll talk.
I was actually wondering the same thing.
I was gonna say, I can be specific.
They're very
Are you already
reasonable.
set up as an S corp?
No.
Okay, can I ask kind of specifically on that? Cause I was thinking the same question. And I'm not gonna hold you to the exact, or unless you don't wanna
This is being
say.
recorded, right? I'd really prefer to talk to you.
Okay,
if you don't
sure,
mind.
I'll talk to you.
You know, of course, things change. If someone looks
Yeah,
at it
every
2 years.
realtor has a different situation.
It
Well,
depends
sure.
how nice you are.
And it depends on what I do for you, because, I have some clients that I have one client that I go to every 2 weeks, and I go in their office and I do their payables and I update their books and all. I have some clients I talk to 1 time a year. So I'm as much as you need. If I'm doing
Right.
payroll for you, which is quarterly, I also include 2 estimates where I look at your, and we do this together, I look at your income and say, okay, here's where, and it's around now. Here's where you are now. It's August, we've got 5 months left. What do you think you're gonna earn? That's always the biggest question. How much do you think you're gonna earn? I don't know. So you gotta start somewhere. So I'll do 2 estimates for you to look at your taxes and to get you to say, okay, here we are in August. In April, you're gonna owe $10,000. So why don't we pay $2,000 a month for the next 5 months? And you'll be caught up. Go ahead.
So I have an LLC, but I don't know if it's also an S corp. Are you able to check that and tweak it?
Do you file a separate tax return for your business?
So funny you ask, I haven't actually filed my taxes
Okay.
yet. We did an extension. I'm a newer agent, so
So
first year I made 0 money, so we
Gotcha.
filed our own taxes.
Sure.
And then my accountant ghosted me, so I was like, cool. You filed my extension, but then he never spoke to me again, so I was like, great.
So you have to do more. There are things to do to get the S corp election, so if you haven't done more, you probably are not. There is a way to check you, we can call the IRS. I can file your return and see if it's rejected, which is really a good way, because right now, IRS is not answering the phone, even the tax practitioners. I can't get in, I call them, they say, we are having unusual, volume of calls, please call back the next business day.
It's been saying that for 18 months.
Yeah, it's gonna be settled real soon with 80,000 new agents.
It's still not gonna be, it sounds big, but it's not enough.
They got, like, I think it said, last I read, 10.2 million returns from 2021 still sitting ready to be processed.
So let her file electronically for you.
Yes. So, and what we can do is we
So
can.
when's your next available appointment?
Right, after this. Go
I can
ahead.
say, Kathy, I'm Ashley Willoughby.
Hi, Ashley.
Hi,
Good to see
how are you?
you.
So faced with the name,
Yes,
so Kathy's been
exactly.
helping me for 2 years. I have been using some people that you guys know that have definitely come into the office and talked about it. Kathy is amazing, and I would say the best that I've come across. And she's helped me with some pretty complicated stuff that, because we were married filing jointly for a while, and my husband had some complicated stuff, and so she's not just real estate, she knows a lot more, and I just would like to vouch for that, and that the financial side of it is extremely reasonable and on par with the other people that have been presented to us in this office.
Thank you so much.
This is key.
You have bilingual Spanish?
Say that again.
A bilingual Spanish?
I'm learning Spanish. I don't, but I'm learning, so
She has
I'm
Babel.
trying.
She has Babel.
Yeah, that's
I can read and type better than I can speak.
Well, numbers
My accent's
are-
terrible. So no, I don't. So I'm sorry.
What are some of the interesting deductions you can take, and can I depreciate my laptop, what am I not doing?
Well, you
I mean,
should be-
I'm doing it,
No, that's
but
it.
what
You
are
should be doing everything we talked about, so.
but I mean, that somebody might be surprised, like, oh, I didn't know I could deduct that.
Well, the big thing that I think a lot of people miss is the home office. Because it's not, there is a standard home office, which is $1,500 right now. And it's not just that, but you can take, the way it works, the way I do it is it's the number of rooms in your house. So say you have a 4-bedroom house, that's 4 rooms. Kitchen, living room, dining room, add 1 for the bathrooms, 1 of 8.
Oh,
1
basement.
8. Sorry?
What about basement?
Well, we don't recognize the basement in Georgia, right? In real estate, is that right?
I didn't know.
So.
Well, I recognize my basement.
That's a bonus.
And yes,
I'll tell the
it's
IRS.
for you, yes.
But
For
you get
yes.
1/8,
Yeah, for you,
That's
yes,
my
we'll
office.
include the basement, okay? and
which
it's
would be
not
more
12.
than 1,500.
That's right. So, square, you can use square footage as well, so I found that rooms is easier, it's better, usually a better deduction. So you can take, your utilities, 1/8, you can take your mortgage interest, 1/8, you can take real estate taxes, homeowners insurance, pest control, security, everything related to your home, because you have an office in the home, including depreciation on your home, which, that's a whole nother conversation when you sell, but.
Oh, we pay office here, and can I, pay both?
Yes.
Home office and,
Yes.
okay.
Absolutely. The home office deduction is defined as, can be as little as administrative tasks in your home. So think about, and what I think about is, okay, you got a plumber who's out doing his business, but then he comes home and does his billing. Agent, you're out doing your business in your car, you may have an office here, but you're at home reading your contracts. Especially after COVID. It's a big deduction I think a lot of people miss. Equipment you buy, laptops, if you get a new phone, you can do a business percentages over phone. Of course, mileage or auto is a huge one for your industry. 40,000 miles is not unusual. And right now it's 60, I think it's 61 cents a mile. So 40,000 miles, that's $15,000 deduction. Things that aren't deductible that I get asked frequently, nails, hair.
Yeah.
You can't deduct any of that as a personal grooming item.
You put a logo on that.
If you have a logo.
If you have a
on it.
logo.
That's correct.
Golf balls, as long as it has a logo on it.
Yeah.
Rob buys plenty of those.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't.
So if you
Back my
switch
realty
logos,
does.
or do-
Yeah.
So back to the
Most
home office
likely.
Yes,
thing,
ma'am.
if it's not like a particular room that you set up as your office, but you use your dining room as your office, like all the time, your laptop's sat there, your printer's there, can that area be?
Sure, I would
your
use that
office?
space.
Okay.
It does need to be a dedicated space. Obviously your dining room, you know, if you've got your papers in there all the time, you're not using it to eat. But, you know, it would be good, and I tell people, take pictures of your office setup just for your file. Because if we go to audit, we gotta prove it, and that's always how I see it. I've been to audit.
Don't measure it.
I've been to audit with clients, and it's better if you have the documentation, you have the pictures, you're organized. The biggest thing I'll tell you about your own business, besides getting the entity, get a bank account for your business. Use that bank account. Do not intermingle your personal and business transactions. You need money out of your business account, transfer it. Nice round numbers, $1,000, $1,500, $800. That way you can see, okay, here's money going to my personal, and then we reclassify it as salary. But intermingling is the biggest thing the IRS can get you for, because here's why. If you go to audit, the first thing they say to you is, I want your bank statements. And you have to produce them. They can go through your personal bank statements and find other things that they want to question that has nothing to do with your business. But you've presented them, you've given them permission to review your personal statements.
I gotta say something real quick.
Go ahead.
You guys, because I learned the hard way. When
Uh-oh.
you set up your LLC, and you get your checking account under your LLC, right? Don't forget to call the office, Melissa, so they will cut your commission checks in your LLC. Because I forgot, and I had a few that were not.
Yes. So then there is a way around that, which we can discuss if you.
Yeah, they got me around that
Okay,
too.
good.
But I'm gonna still call.
Okay, great.
Because I'm maybe interviewing.
Fabulous. You're my favorite client already.
But you know, we have that whole sales pitch that you hire us and you pay us a commission because we're gonna make it better, faster, cheaper, bring you in more money, and there's a value to us. It's the same thing with a good accountant. I mean, you are gonna save so much more money than you're gonna pay. So try not to focus on how much somebody charges, and her fees are very, very reasonable. And look at what your cost savings are, just with the examples, like, if you pay $8,000, I have to pay her a couple dollars, that's a pretty good deal for me. But,
and angst.
This is part of being a business.
And make sure you use one credit card for your business.
Yes.
And it
can be a personal card,
that's
like
correct.
a rewards card, like I use Delta Amex, but I put only business on that
Right.
card.
And now we all understand, if you, like, here's just an example. So I ordered something online from Office Depot or whatever, I had my card out, guess where I put it? On my desk. Then I went to lunch with the client, and guess where my card was? On my desk. You all understand, occasionally, that happens, yes, I charge it personally and things like that. But if you can show the IRS in an audit that you separated your personal and business, that will go hugely towards making your audit less time and less effort on everybody's part, because you're organized. Organization is massive in an audit. Yes, ma'am.
I'm just curious if all accountants are like, it's a general practice across the board. Like if you call your accountant to ask questions over the phone, do they start charge you for the time you're on the phone with them?
It depends on the accountant. I do not charge for 5-minute phone calls. Like if you call me and say blah, 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 and I go, oh, blah, 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 blah. I'm not gonna charge you for that, because one, I want you to call me instead of doing something wrong and me having to unwind it later.
Well, you're in trouble with me.
If you call
You're
me
gonna
like,
be expensive.
if you call me 5 minutes, 60 times a week, then yeah, I'm gonna start charging you. But if you call me and say, hey, I saw this on my blog or whatever that I read, and what do you know about it? And I'll be like, well, I have to research that, then yes, I'm gonna charge you for that time. And if it's extremely complicated, and we can discuss that too, because some things I'll do for my own education. I am required to have 40 hours of education a year. Last year I got 150 because of PPP loans and all the stuff that happened with the CARES Act and such. So, but it's just a matter of what's going on. Now this new act that's going through, I'm gonna have to research all that and learn about it all.
I also read an article recently that the IRS is auditing this year a lot more than they were previously, and especially the middle class.
Yep.
Or rich, middle class rich.
Unfortunately, your industry is extremely audit risk because of what you do and what you're charging, your mileage and meals and things that are inherent in your business, but they're abused.
But you also said there's 10.2 million returns just sitting with them, so
Yes.
I didn't understand if they have so many returns they haven't gotten back to, and they really get around to auditing people too if they're so busy.
They just hired 87,000
Yeah,
agents
87,000.
last.
So yeah, welcome,
We're gonna make
welcome to
time
my
for
world.
those
Yeah, so buckle up.
And I had one of my audits was a hairdresser, and the reason they audited that lady is because it's a cat, well, it used to be detached business so much, but she only made like $20,000 a year. It's crazy. But then, of course, I have the, multi-million and the $5 to $1 million plus, net worth or middle class or whatever they call it.
What would trigger them to like audit us? Like, what did they see on their
The
end?
mileage, the meals, things like that, where you're being abusive. Entertainment used to be, but now this year entertainment, in the last couple of years has been zero. You can't go to the golf club and charge it. But you can charge the meals and the sodas and if you eat lunch or whatever. So there's definitely things, it changes every year, it changes every, I'll be interested to see where all the tax things are on that thing that just going through right now.
But be careful with the meals, because we're gonna.
It's gonna go back to 50%. Right now it's 100%, which
Yeah, right now, it's fine.
is really nice. But see, it used to be in the 80s, they'd go out and have their 3 martini lunch and they did all the stuff that was very abused, so they pulled it back.
Yeah, that's scary for me because I feel like I deduct almost all my meals for real estate purposes because real estate's part of my life, so I'm always talking real estate in almost every meal. So that's kind of,
For meals, here's the criteria. You have to be taking a client out. Or you have to be doing, like, if you went to lunch with your mentor,
Face to face.
face to face with someone related to your business.
Okay.
Or if you're away from your office, which I do this, we'll go to the client's office and I'm there all day, and so I go get lunch for myself. Could do it, yes. So it's got to be, it can't be that you're out with I had one of my real estate agents like, well, we went bowling and it was with my neighbors and their kids, but we're always talking about real estate, just like what you said. Bowling with your children, not so much. And so, I mean, if it's valid, absolutely. It doesn't matter what it is, if it's a valid thing. If you're pushing the envelope and fudging a little, then you need to be a little more careful. They want you to write on the receipt who you met, what you talked about, business purpose. So
And there's thresholds, right, within the industries, like if they see that the average agent is spending X and all of a sudden you're way over here.
extravagant. Yeah, so if you're going to Ruth's Chris or, someone like that every time, they're gonna be like, wait a minute. Like, you go to Chicken Salad Chick or go to, Chick-fil-A, well, that one, whatever.
Well, I encourage you all to
Does that count or no?
grab an appointment with Kathy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. She's local.
Any other questions? We're done.
And we're gonna have Mega Camp running
Yes.
till 12.
Mega Camp is on here if you wanna listen in.
And I will take appointments. I'd love to set an appointment if anyone
First in line.
wants to.
Is this your appointment chair?
Yes, that's my
Oh,
appointment
that popped
chair.
from this morning, that was the beginning.
Yeah.
We are receiving appointments for loans as well.
Great. Start putting in there. I should have been positive this time.
Taking appointments for this thing?
Because after. Oh, there you go. Now that-